Day 21. Man, I had quite the adventurous morning. I'm recording this in the afternoon. I don't know how to even put what happened this morning into words. I was on my way to run. I was driving, and I drove past a car and what looked like a fire under the car. So I spun around, went back and parked and got out, and sure enough, there was flames building underneath this car. And so I checked on the driver's side, looked in through the window of the passenger side to see that there was still a person in the car. I couldn't believe it. I said, "Are you okay?" And the person responded that they were. And I said, "Can you get out?" And they said they could, but they had to get their stuff out. And I said, "We need to get you away from this car. There's a fire underneath." And the fire, was growing. There was a bunch of dry leaves. The car had gotten stuck. It must have scraped the road and sparked and caused a fire. And the person handed me a bag and said, "Can you take this?" I said, "Sure, but let's get you out of the car." And I got the bag that the person handed me, and I brought it far enough away from the car where it would be away from the fire, and went back and said, "Look, come on, let's get you out." And the person said that they needed to get more stuff out of the vehicle. And I said, "Let's not worry about it. Let's get you out and away from the fire." So at that point, a person was on their way to work, and they stopped and, said, "Is that your car?" I said, "No, there's a woman in there. I can't get her out. She wants to get her stuff out." And the person says, "What do we do?" I said, "Do you have a phone? Can you call emergency services?" And she said she could. I said, "Well, please dial 911 and get some emergency services here. We need fire truck, get this fire out." And I said, "Do you have any water?" And she did, but it was only like 2 bottles, like 2 12-ounce bottles. So I splashed it on the front of the car where the fire was the worst. There was a fire towards the back as well, and doused it a little bit, but the flames grew back quickly because there was just so many dry leaves. So anyway, I pleaded with the woman to get out of the vehicle, and she said, "I gotta get all this stuff out." So I got as much as I could, and then the flames were over the hood at this point and growing bigger and bigger. And I mean, she's still in there, and for some reason did not have any urgency to get out of the vehicle. I said, "We have to get you out now." And finally she opened the door and said, "I need to get stuff out of my trunk." I said, "Please, this vehicle is about to be engulfed in flames." So got her at least out of the vehicle and to the trunk. And she started getting stuff out, and I said, "All right, this is the last bag I'm taking down. There's too much fire. Come on, let's get away from the vehicle." And we started moving down the driveway with a load of her stuff, and a big pop occurred. I don't know, not like an explosion, but definitely a loud something definitely caught fire that was slightly explosive. And that's when finally emergency services showed up. And I said, I had just got there when the vehicle was not quite on fire, but now it was, like I said, the front end was totally engulfed in flames now. And I asked the police officer, that was there, and fire trucks were pulling in. I said, "Do you need me for anything further? Am I okay to go?" And he said, "Yeah, we've got it. Thank you." And as I was leaving, I heard the police officer yell, "Please do not approach the vehicle." So I moved on my way, you know, thankfully emergency service were there and would take care of the situations. So I was pretty anxious. It got me pretty wired and upset. I'm glad that she was okay. But you know, the whole situation, I just couldn't believe she wouldn't get out of the vehicle. But anyway, she got out, and I went on for my run. But went to DuPont State Forest, ran with a bunch of friends. Just kept reflecting back to seeing those flames and how close they were, and you know, just, oh my God, just how close this woman came to, you know, gosh, because I stopped on the way back. I called my dad, told him what had happened. He's like, you got to take pictures of the vehicle. I said, nah, you know. I even hesitated to talk about the story. He's like, you got to share that story. And, oh my God, the car was burnt out, totally burnt out, interior and everything. Just, you know, totally gone. Windows, everything melted. Just, my goodness, it was crazy. But what a morning. So we had a great run. It's great to see a lot of my friends, but after that I just was, oh man, just felt so zapped. I mean, couldn't believe what transpired, you know, what happened. And so it was a very reflective run. I was, you know, listening to the folks. I told them what had happened, and it was crazy because a lot of them had heard the sirens and, you know, didn't know obviously what was going on. Filled them in. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I ended up having a good long run. I tacked on a few miles to start with my friend Sam. We got in about 3.5 miles. I was a little bit late, obviously, getting there. So we planned for 4 prior to starting, but we squeezed in 3.5 and then met the rest of the guys and did 12 with them. A lot of it was on the course, which I used to host the race, Yeti or Not 25K, and we did a lot of that course, which was, you know, great to see. Hadn't been out to DuPont, I think. Maybe I've been out there since, but I mean, it's been a while since I got out there, and it just kind of reminded me of how great just, you know, any running is. I spend so much time because of convenience here in Mills River, but really made me want to, you know, kind of get back out there and do some runs out there, because it's just, I mean, it's just pure running, you know. It's what I expect to see at Black Canyon, you know, just pure running, 100K of running. You know, there's some climbs and stuff, but, you know, it looks like there's a lot of runnable terrain out there. So I suspect I'll find myself back out there at DuPont, because there's just so many great dirt roads and such in the area, and it's very runnable. You know, paces are very they're just, it's a great place to run. So point being, just, you know, you got to simulate obviously the terrain and environment in which you'll be running. Now, you know, we talked about Black Canyons. There's, yeah, a bit of altitude. I'll be up at a bit of altitude, which obviously is harder for me to replicate around here, but, you know, there's a lot of downhill, which as you get closer to an event, this is something we talked about on the Hellbender podcast, is you want to, you know, simulate as closely as possible. The closer you get to the race, you want to simulate as much of the course and what you're running as possible. You know, for something like Hellbender, that means, you know, the probably nine weeks in, 9 weeks from the event in, you want to kind of be doing your biggest volume and maximum vertical gain to descent. You know, strength training, all that stuff is really vital. Training those adaptations. So, you know, Black Canyon, again, just kind of making things runnable. I don't want to be hiking a ton on my long runs, that is. I mean, hiking is a great cross-training activity. It's a great way to kind of build in some strength. You know, obviously in my training, Patrick has me doing a lot of power hiking at incline, and it's a great way to you know, grab some aerobic fitness. Yeah, it's just it was a great place, great reminder of that, you know. And as I said, as we get closer to Black Canyon, we'll try to replicate more and more of what we'll be doing. Just runnable terrain. So whatever you're planning, you know, whatever goal races you may have, as you get closer, you need to just be as succinct as you can, and making your training as close as you can to, you know, and if you can get out on the race course, obviously that is the key. That would be, you know, tremendous. DuPont, when I ran the trail marathon championships, I was at DuPont almost every weekend. You know, sometimes I'd try to go midweek and you know, squeeze a run in and replicate and do, you know, the course itself. I do pieces of the course. So if you can get on the course, obviously that's a huge advantage. But if you can't, make it as close as possible to what you're running. You know, in vertical gain, descent, terrain, is it, you know, rocky technical terrain, whatever you can do to make yourself more comfortable on race day. You know, Bigfoot, it'll be, you know, a lot of up and down. Looking at that course profile, I will be training a lot more, you know, power hiking. A lot different than Black Canyons, but, you know, I mean, kind of my hope is that you know, I have a chance of getting into Western States. You know, 16 tickets. It's not obviously not a huge chance to get in, but if I do, my name does get selected, I think Black Canyons will set me well for Western States, and then Western States will be you know, another building block to Bigfoot 200. Is it an ideal setup? No, not an ideal setup, but at the same time, I think it's, you know, I think it's, you know, it'll be fun. You know, I'm not going to refuse my chance to run Western States, that's for sure. And if I don't, then I will use, you know, things that will set me up better, you know, as we kind of talked about in the other videos, perhaps doing some of the Brute Challenge, some of those courses, which are roughly 100K to 75 miles. So just replicating, you know, I think will set me up well when choosing races. And, you know, that's another video in of itself, is choosing races to set you up well for your goal race. You know, how do you create a season? I think we finally made it through the pandemic makeup races, you know, where we've deferred, and so hopefully 2022 will be a little bit cleaner. We don't have to squeeze in as many races or worry about making up this race or that race, and, you know, it's kind of goofing up your goal race with doing too much, or, you know, a distance that's kind of extraneous to to what you're trying to accomplish in your goal race. But like I said, we can talk about that setup in another time. So anyhow, just wanted to get my thoughts out for the day. I really wish I could have filmed today at DuPont, perhaps another time. There's so many beautiful places, you know, out at DuPont, that are so worthy of a video. Yeah, didn't work out today. I had thought about bringing my camera, but I just decided not to and just enjoy the roam with my friends. Instead, took Mr. Miles out here for a little walk, get him some exercise. This is actually a little swimming hole my kids like to come to, about a half mile from our house. But anywho, what a day. Oh, I'm just glad that woman is okay. It was I'm still gonna be processing that one for a while. But we'll keep moving forward. Tomorrow will be a recovery day, but we'll talk more tomorrow about some other things. Thanks again for joining me.